Be'ur Mishnah Vav. Next one. Amar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says, Shiv'at dvarim itkinu beit din. So since in the previous Mishnah we talked about takanat beit din, usually the money has to come from the individual who found the animal, but the takanat beit din, he says, people are not bringing it in, let's take it from communal funds. Yeah. So there's other 7 things we're going to talk about where the court had decreased because of the same problems. Let's see. בעניין נסחים ובעניינים אחרים. First of all,
it's not belong to the Masechet, but because.
Yeah. So some of it has got to do with nesachim, with sacrifice, with the added wheat offerings or wine offering, and something has to do with other matters completely. כמפורט להלן. וזהו אחד מהם. And this is one of them. אחת מהתקנות הללו היא אותה תקנה ששנינו במשנה הקודמת. So the first of the 7 is what we said last time. שהמוצא בהמה בירושלים או סמוך לה, that anybody who finds an animal in ירושלים or next to it, והוא בא להקריבה, and it comes to sacrifice it, שנסחיה באים משל ציבור. It's supposed to come from his money, but the decree is to make it from communal funds. ואלו הם שאר 6 התקנות. And these are the other 6 decrees that we're going to say. תקנה ב', the second one, נוכרי ששלח עולתו ממדינת הים. So first of all, a non-Jew that sends his sacrifice from מדינת הים, from overseas, far away. Obviously, a non-Jew also is allowed to make vows. Nadavar, charity or vows, is allowed to bring his sacrifices. So he sent his sacrifices. What happened? והרי שנינו, we already learned, שמקבלים מיד הנוכרים נדרים ונדבות. There are 2 sacrifices we accept from non-Jews. Their vows and charitable acts. ושלח עם הנסחים, and he knew that the custom is also has to come with bread and wine. So he also sent bread, wine, oil, he sent everything. היינו, דמי נסחים, he sent the money for the נסחים. שאילו נסחים ממש, הרי טמאים הם. Because if they were real נסחים, they were defiled. So it says, krevin mishelo. So it says they're supposed to bring the nesachim from his money. Midmei nesachim sheshalach. From the money of the extra sacrifices that he sent. The oil offering, the wine offering, and the wheat. Ve'im lav. The problem is, everybody knew that you bring meat, and that was the main expense. But not everybody knew about the other ones. So what happens if he didn't send money for that? He just brought you an animal, or he just sent the money for an animal. What do you do then? Ve'im lav, ve'im lo shalach nesachim imolato. And if he didn't send nesachim imolato, the extra sacrifices together with his meat, krevim mishel tzibur, then you give it from, again, congregational fund. מביאים את הנסחים מתרומת הלשכה. You bring it from the money of the lishka, the money of the בית המקדש. In other words, because you could have thought maybe you don't bring the sacrifice at all, because the sacrifice has to come with nesachim, and this sacrifice doesn't have nesachim. So he says, no, since he doesn't know, we take, even though you're not supposed to, this is a decree of the temple, we're going to take nesachim from congregants and give it to him. Okay. יש מבארים, there are those who explains, שמשנתנו נקטה ממדינת הים. It says, why does it say מדינת הים? It says, what do I care if it's from overseas or from Israel? The problem is that he's not Jews. That he's a non-Jew. That's the problem. Yeah, what do I care it? לפי שדיברו חכמים בהווה. So some say it because that was the usual way. They meant a non-Jew. Yeah, it doesn't have to be מדינת הים, but any...
non-Jews זה מדינת הים.
Yeah, exactly. מחוץ לישראל. Because in Israel only Jews lived.
Exactly.
שבארץ ישראל בזמן הבית לא היו מצרים נוכריים כל כך. It says there weren't so many non-Jews living in ארץ ישראל. הרמב"ם כותב, the Rambam says no. The Rambam says specifically from overseas. In other words, a non-Jew that lives in Eretz Israel, it's going to be a different rule according to the Rambam. Let's see. נוכרי ששלח עולתו ממדינה אחרת. He says, from another country. It looks like the Rambam says it's on this halacha is only when he says it from another country, not when he says it from Israel. Why? Let's see why. ואפשר שבא לומר it's possible to say שאם הוא עמנו במדינה, that if he is with us במדינה, we can tell him, hey, we're not bringing the sacrifices until you bring us the money for the nesachim. That's right. So that's why it says נוכרים ממדינת הים according to the Rambam. אומרים לו הווה נסוחח. We tell them הווה נסוחח. That's the second halacha. You bring it from God. תקנה ג', third one. וכן גר שמת. Oh, that's an interesting part also. A convert that passed away. Now this is an important rule for the entire Torah. I think we came about it before. A convert that converted is like a newborn. Is a new creature, which means even if he had children beforehand, his children don't inherit him. Okay. Yeah? In other words, after he dies, who takes the property? Whoever catches. First one. Hefker. It becomes Hefker. And whoever grabs it first gets it.
His stuff?
His stuff, yeah. No. If he has it only after. No, after. Yeah, after, then he's a Jew. That's not okay. Oh. Yeah. But the previous ones, they don't catch.
And he doesn't have going forward kids.
That's right.
So let's say his wife died, he stayed by himself.
It goes.
Go and you take his stuff.
That's right. It becomes hefker at the moment. At the moment he dies, and anybody who can come, the neighbor is probably going to grab it first. Okay. Now, usually it wasn't applicable because a convert usually didn't have land. Grab what? A couple of he has 2 goats and a hen. Yeah, and you usually were poor because you come to a different land. So, but the idea, okay, he could be also rich, theoretically. וכן גר שמת והניח זבחים. Now here comes the problem. A convert that passed away and he left 2 sheep because he says this is going to be sacrifice. He already designated them for sacrifices. That's right. He designated it before for sacrifices. Now, so if he was a Jew, it's not a problem. Why? Because the kids inherit the sheep. They have to bring the sacrifice. And they will take the kids, bring nesachim. Bring the nesachim with it. Over here, who are you going to tell? There's nobody to tell to bring. Nobody has the responsibility. Nobody's inheriting. So, אם יש לו, ואין לו יורשים שיביאו נסachim לזבחיו. Now, he doesn't have any inheritor. He's not married, nor does he have children. So, there's no anybody who inherits him to bring the extra stuff, the wheat, the oil, the wine, together with the meat. אם יש לו נסחים, so if he has other property, שהפריש גם נסחים בחייו, then קרבי משלו. You tell the guy who grabbed these things to say, hey, some of these things belong to us, the Beit HaMikdash says. Give us the money. For נסחים at least. Okay. You grab they say, give us the money. Yeah? קרבי מנסחים שלו. In other words, Beit HaMikdash says we have first grab before any individual grabs. We can grab only for the nesachim. Only for the nesachim. If he didn't have korbanot, we can't grab nothing. The only reason we can grab is because he already designated it. There's the sheep, that's right. קרבים משלו מנסחים שלו. ואם לאו, שלא הפריש נסחים בחייו. So, if he didn't separate נסחים בחייו, והרי כל נכסיו שהשאיר הפקר הם, and everything else is הפקers. We didn't understand the Mishnah. We have to read this Mishnah again. That's okay. So the first case was he did leave oil with the things. Okay. So you're grabbing inside. This, if he didn't, then you don't tell to the guy who grabbed it. Right. You don't, like we said before. Before we thought you go to the guy who grabbed it and he says, hey, we have first trump. We don't. Even the temple doesn't have the right to take it. So whoever grabbed, even if he grabbed oil and whatever he did, belongs to the person who grabbed it. And so now how you can bring the sacrifices? Then you will use the communal funds. ואם לאו, שלא הפריש נסחים בחייו, he didn't separate the wine and oil when he was still alive, והרי כל נכסיו שהשאיר הפקר הם. Everything belongs to the Jewish nation then, becomes הפקר, not the Jewish nation, whoever grabs it first. קרבין משל ציבור, then they come from communal funds. קרבים הנסכים מתרומת הלשכה, then it comes from the money of the בית המקדש. אבל ישראל שמת וניח זבחים, but a Jew that died and he left meat, he left sheep, יורשיו מביאים את הנסכים לזבחיו מנכסיו. They have to bring it from his own property. That's the third תקנה. תקנה ד', the fourth תקנה. ותנאי בית דין הוא, there's another תנאי of בית דין, condition that the court instituted. בית דין התנו והתקינו. The בית דין made another decree על כהן גדול שמת. What happened? On a high priest that passed away in the middle of work. This is at work, and he passed away at work. And he did some of the work, and some of it, we're going to see, he did some of the work, and some of the work he didn't. על כהן גדול שמת, a high priest that passed away. ועדיין לא מינו אחר תחתיו. Now, if you nominate another one instead of him, then you don't have this problem. But you didn't nominate another one. There's a disagreement. You know, he's got two sons. One says, I was older. The other guy says, I was older. I don't know. Whatever.
2 days to do the...
Whatever, yeah. Whatever the condition does. עדיין לא מינו אחר תחתיו. They still didn't nominate another high priest. שתהא מנחתו קרבה משל ציבור. That his offering, his wheat offering, has to come from the congregation. Let's see what it's talking about. הכהן גדול היה מביא משלו, the high priest had to bring from his own house, his own personal sacrifice, בכל יום מנחה. He had to bring an offering every day. הנקראת מנחת חביתין. It was called a mincha of the pen. Of the pen. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we're going to learn this. All the things we're going to learn when we're going to get to it. Yeah. So not now, but when we get to it. Yeah. Minchat chavitin. So it was oil and wheat. Like met chavita with oil and wheat, whatever it was. And how much was it?
Oil and meat?
Oil and wheat. Yeah. Asirit ha'efa solet. It was 1/10 of an efa solet. And he would bring it machatzita b'boker u'machatzita ba'erev. So he would bring it 5 and 5.
אבל למה did it come from the Kohen Gadol, from his own money?
Because it's a verse in the Torah. We might learn it. Yeah, that the high priest has to bring a sacrifice every day from his own household. It has to be his present. ברם לא היה מביאה בחצאים, חצי יסרון בבוקר וחצי יסרון בערב. But he wouldn't bring it half in the morning and half in the evening. אלא היה מביא בכל בוקר יסרון שלם ומחלקו לחצאים. He would bring it in the morning, the whole thing, and he would divide it into half. ולש מכל חצי יסרון 6 חלות מצות. And then he will make 6 challahs from each one. שהם 12 חלות לכל היסרון. In other words, he would make 12 loaves of bread every day. הוא מקריב מחצה בבוקר, and he would burn half of it in the morning, on the mizbeach, on the altar, ומחצה בין הערביים, and 6 other loaves would be in the evening. Yeah.
שם על המזבח?
It's a sacrifice. Just like meat sacrifice, just like wine sacrifice, just like wheat sacrifice. Yeah, chalot. Yeah, chalot. So the problem was, אם מת הכהן גדול לאחר שהקריב מחצית מנחתו בבוקר, if the high priest did, so he prepared the whole thing in the morning, right? He prepared the whole thing in the morning. And 6 he put on the fire. That's on the mizbeach, on the altar. Now he passed away, and now the new Kohen comes. Oh, there's no new Kohen, sorry. There's no new Kohen. ומינו באותו יום כהן גדול אחר תחתיו. Let's say they did nominate another Kohen, high priest, instead of him. אינו מביא את חצי צאון שהשאיר קודמו. The second priest is not allowed to bring the sacrifice of the first from the sacrifice, the 6 remaining ones. He has to make 12 more from his one.
6 more.
But I don't know if he's allowed to make 6 more, because you need to make full. Will you see? ולא חצי יסרון משלו, אלא מביא יסרון שלם, משלו וחוצהו. So he needs to prepare another 12, but only bring 6. But he prepares another 12 from his own household. הוא מקריב מחצה בין הארבעים, and he also only brings 6 in the evening. והמחצה נשארת, מניחה עד שתיפסל בלינה ותשרף, and the other 6 have to wait until it's going to get spoiled and then it will burn. והוא הדין למחצה שנשארת מן הכהן גדול הקודם. And the other 6 from the Kohen Gadol in the morning that passed away also had to wait until it will spoil and then you will burn it also.
That means that when he come in the morning, he baked the challah. He have the challah ready for the morning and for the afternoon.
That's right. He bakes everything. Prepares everything in the morning.
Ready. Okay.
I don't think it's baked. It's metugan.
Metugan.
Yeah, but whatever. Yeah, we will learn it. משנתנו בא ללמד, our Mishnah comes to teach, שאם מת הכהן גדול לאחר שהקריב מחצמחתו בבוקר. So if the high priest died after he brought the 6 in the morning, ולא מינו אחר תחתיו, there's no other high priest. So now how are you going to bring the sacrifice in the evening? תקנת בית דין הייתה, שתהא מנחת חביתין קרבה משל ציבור. The court decided we'll have to take it from the congregational fund. Now, what do you mean, who else? So you can say who else. You know who else it should be? Who else it should be is inheritors. The guys who inherit the high priest, maybe we should take it from them. Because it's a sacrifice. Remember?
It's there already.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice that they inherited. So they inherited it's all.
What they have to sue, you can use it, you can have it, we give it to you.
No, they have to bring 6 to make 12 more from the evening. And 6 we go to the sacrifice and 6 we go to spoil.
Why? But if the guy that inherited all this stuff, I'm telling you, he did chetzi.
But he cannot bring it now.
Because
He's dead. So he says, are we going to go to his kids and we're going to tell the kids, give me the money for 12 more. So the Beit Din says, we're not going to go to the kids, even though it's supposed to be on them. We're going to use the money from the congregational fund. That's what it is. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda says, no. It's just like any other sacrifice. Any other sacrifice has to go to the guy who inherits him. Mishel Yoshim. It says it's from the inheritors. Mishel Yoshea Kohen Gadol, Shemet Mincha Kreva. It has to be from the inheritance of the high priest that passed away. As long, כל זמן שלא מינו כהן גדול אחר, as long as another Kohen was not nominated. ושלמה הייתה קרבה. And then what do you do with it? עשירית האפת שלמה. And then at that moment you don't bring 6 and let 6 go away. You bring all the 12, you burn them together. According to Rabbi Yossi. ולא מחציתה, not half. אחרי רבי יהודה, הייתה מקריבה למנחה. והיינו יסרון שלם בבוקר, ויסרון שלם בערב. So in this way,
הוא אומר ש-anytime it's יסרון ויסרון.
Maybe he says all the time it's יסרון in the morning, okay. בין לרבי שמעון כשהיא באה משל ציבור, according to רבי שמעון he comes from the congregation, ובין לרבי יהודה כשהיא באה משל יורשים במסכת מנחות. Or whether it's רבי יהודה, when it comes from the inheritance, היא מסכת מנחות. מובא ברייתא. So okay, let's learn from a Braita. Usually in a Braita, it says it in more words, so it's more clear. Mishnah is very small, but Braita is more words. So let's see if we can understand a little bit better. Kohen Gadol Shemet, in the Braita it says a high priest that passed away, ולא מינו כהן אחר תחתיו. They did not nominate another Kohen besides him, underneath him, instead of him. That's the word. מניין שתהא מנחתו קרבה משל יורשים. It says, why does it say that his sacrifice has to be, his mincha sacrifice has to be from the inheritance? Talmud lomar, it says, we learn it from a verse. The verse in Vayikra. So it says, the verse says, והכהן המשיח תחתיו. It says, the anointed Kohen underneath him, מבניו, from his sons, יעשה אותה. ודורש רבי יהודה, and Rabbi Yehuda learns this verse, והכהן המשיח, and the anointed Kohen, or HaKohen HaMashiach יביא מנחתו כשהוא בחיים, or, so it means either the anointed Kohen will bring his sacrifice when he's alive, או תחתיו מבניו יעשה אותה. Or underneath him, in other words, he's already the gun, yeah? Then his sons have to do it. That's how he learns it. כשמת ולא מני אחר. When? Only when he died and there's no other high priest. So it says, יכול יקריבנה היורש חצאין. So it says, so why is it not, he has to bring it the whole? Maybe he can bring the 6 loaves that are remainder there. Or he only has to sacrifice 6 loaves. Talmud lomar ota. It says her, the whole mincha. V'kula velo miktzata. The whole thing and not half of it. That's how he learns it. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. This is according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Chok olam. It says, it's a decree forever. נאמר שם בהמשך הפסוק, that's 2 words it says in the end of this verse, משל עולם. It says חוק עולם. What does it mean, חוק עולם? What does it come to teach you? It teaches you, you can bring it from the world. What does the world mean? From the congregation. It doesn't have to bring from the Kohen. היינו משל ציבור. כליל תקטר, but it says it has to be completely sacrificed. כליל, all of it. שתה כולה בהקטרה. It means, so it can be brought from the congregational, but it has to be brought the whole thing, not just half. שתה כולה בהקטרה, שיקטירו שלמה ולא לחצאים. So that you're going to bring the whole thing, 10 seah, not just 5. In other words, 12 challahs and not only 6. וכל זמן שיקריבה משל ציבור, as long as it comes from the congregation. And what's the halacha? Halacha כרבי יהודה. And the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. ומה ששמנינו במשנתנו של רבי שמעון תנאי בית דין הוא. So why does it say that according to Rabbi Shimon, this is a condition of the beit din, הוא שתהא מנחה קרבה משל ציבור ולא דין תורה? Why does it say? So according to Rabbi Shimon, it's from the Torah. Why do you say it was a decree? Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Shimon says it's a decree. So, but you learn it from the verse. How do you say it's a decree? So מבואר בגמרא שמה, so it explains in the Gemara, וכן בירושלמי, ששתי תקנות היו. That there were actually 2 decrees. בתחילה הייתה קרבה כדין תורה משל ציבור. It says in the beginning, they used to bring it from the congregational fund. That was the way it was done in the beginning. Yeah? כמו שהבאנו לעיל בברייתא, like he learns it, you bring it from the congregation, משל עולם, yeah? From the world. כיוון שראו חכמים שהלשכה הייתה נדחקת בכך, והוצרכו לצמצם בה, but the sage says, look, there's not enough money usually, and they're saving money over here. We're afraid they're not going to give because it was a lot of challahs, the right amount, they're going to give less, right? התקינו שיהיו גובים אותם משל יורשים. So it says, let's take the money from the inheritors, this one we know we have enough wheat. Otherwise we're not sure we're going to have enough wheat for 12 challahs. כיוון שראו שהיורשים היו פושעים ולא היו מביאים אותה, but then they saw that the inheritor says, what do you want from us? We're busy burying our father, now you're bothering us with זהו? They didn't pay. Yeah? חזרו חכמים והעמידו על דין תורה. So they said, look, we have no choice. These guys also don't pay the money, we can rely on them. Let's go back and take it from the din Torah, from the congregation, even though it's not enough. Might not be enough. ונמצא עכשיו קריבה מן הציבור בתנאי בית דין שהעמידו על דין תורה. So in other words, it went back twice. In the beginning it was tzibur. The beit din says there's not enough in tzibur, let's put it on the yorshim. That's the rabbanan. But it put it back in the tzibur from the rabbanan now. They ask, it's the oraita. Because they took it away from the oraita, so they're bringing it back through the rabbanan now. Very interesting, you have to do that. Yeah. Okay. Baal Har Ephraim, a book called Har Ephraim, כותב, מלשון הגמרא, from the language of the Gemara, שיגבו אותם מן היורשים, says that they have to charge it from the inheritors, נראה לדקדק שהתקנה הייתה רק לעניין ממון. It means that the decree was only when it comes to money. אבל לא לעניין מצוות הבאת החבטין. But not to actually to bring it. In other words, the sons never brought it. שלעולם חלה מצוות חביתון על הציבור. It says it was always a congregational sacrifice. כפי שלמד ממה שכתוב חוק עולם. In other words, it brought from his money, but it was a congregational sacrifices. So it says, even though the Kohen Gadol brought the sacrifice, it was considered, from his money, it was considered congregational. So it looks like he had to have a t'nai that I'm giving this, you remember like the t'nai, I'm giving this to the congregation. אלא שלעניין ממון, but in other words, it's only his responsibility to bring the money. כיוון שראו שהלשכה נדחקת, תקנו שיגבו מן היורשים. Since they saw that usually there's not enough wheat, and they're afraid they're not going to bring the right amount, so they made a takana, they made a decree that they're going to take this wheat from the inheritors. וצריך לבאר, we need to explain, שהיורשים היו מוסרים את זה לציבור, obviously, because it has to be congregational. So they have to say, this wheat we donate to the entire congregation. ובא מנחת מצחביתין כמצוותם של ציבור. In other words, only the money is from the inheritors, but the sacrifice has to be communal sacrifice. So the sons had to say that we donate this money to כלל ישראל. ונראה שמשום כך היו היורשים פושעים בה ואין מביאים. And it looks like this is why the inheritors would not break it. לפי שאין זה מצווה שלהם. It says, excuse me, you're saying it's congregational sacrifice? So why are you coming to us for money? You're telling us, look what you're telling us. You're telling us, pay for the entire congregation. It's congregational. It says, okay, we're willing to pay if it's our mitzvah. They tell him, no, you have to say it belongs to the congregation. So you say, if it belongs to the congregation, take it from the congregation. Why are you coming to us? Exactly. Why are you coming to us? Exactly. It's like communism. It's not communism. It's like communism. I'm going to take your money to give it to him. So what do you mean? It's either the congregation or not the congregation. You can't make me you taking my money and you say, no, it's not your money, it's a congregational now. So take it from the congregation. מה שאין כן לרבי יהודה. This is not according to the opinion of רבי יהודה. הסובר שמן התורה חלה מצוות הבאת חבטין על היורשים. רבי יהודה says, no, it's not congregational. It is on the inheritors. כפי שדורש מן הכתוב, והכהן משיח תחתיו ובניו יעשה אותה. So רבי יהודה says, it's not a congregational offering. It's an individual offering. The Kohen Gadol, that's disagreement. לא מצינו בגמרא שהיו היורשים פושעים בה. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, we don't find that the פושעים, that we see that they didn't give the money, ואין מבין שהואיל וזו מצווה שלהם לא פשעו בה. So he says, since it was their own mitzvah, they never not paid because they wanted to do the mitzvah to honor their father, let's say, to finish the job of their father. But so according to Rabbi Yehuda, and I think that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, right?
Okay.
So the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, so it looks like it wasn't a congregational sacrifice. It was an individual sacrifice of the high priest, and then it transferred over to his sons, just like any other sacrifice that transfers over to the sons.